And welcome back to the program. We're talking about the free-range movement, allowing kids more freedom. This Saturday, Lenore Skenazy, America's Worst Mom, who started the free-range movement and wrote the book Free Range Kids, wants to proclaim and has proclaimed this Saturday, take our children to the park and leave them their day. We'll get into details on what she's talking about with that, but first let's talk to Heidi. Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
Hi, Heidi. What do you think about all this?
I think it depends on the child, and I think it depends on if you've prepared them.
That's very true.
In a lot of ways, like to do with drugs, to do with like the different threats that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it would depend on the child really, and the amount of time you've had with them over their lifetime, and what kinds of things you have taught them. I don't think you. I'm talking to the mother. Sorry, I'm trying to remember your name.
It's Lenore.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Lenore,
Hi, Heidi.
yeah.
It's Lenore.
I think that you wouldn't have sent your son out not having prepared him.
Oh, not at all. Actually, that's such a great point, because people think free-range kids is freewheeling kids and get out of my life and what do I care? And actually, you could argue that it actually is a little more labor-intensive than just watching them or just plopping them in front of a computer, because I believe you do have to train them. Exactly. You have to train them about, first of all, how to cross the street safely. And then, that you can never go off with a stranger. You can talk to them, but you can't go off with them, because that's really much better advice. And then, in my own house, we get into everything that you could possibly worry about. I feel like we do train them on, including how to cook, because you want them to be independent, but you don't want them to just be, I'm not sending them out into the forest and saying, kill a gazelle and come back for dinner. That would be dumb.
Right. Right.
Very good comments, Heidi. Thank you.
I have a very quick question.
Sure.
Do you have any information on preparing your child at what ages or anything like that? Like, is that all in your website?
It's a lot of it's in my book, but I can just give you briefly some information that I got when I talked to the head of the Crimes Against Children Research Center. They research what's the best way to keep kids safe, and since, of course, most of their problem is not stranger danger. 90% of the abuse that children have to endure comes from people they know. And so the guy there, the head of the center, said that starting as young as age 3 or 4, you can talk to them about good touch, bad touch. Tell them they can say no to an adult. And then this is really key. By the way, when you say good touch, bad touch, it's so simple. Don't let nobody can touch you where your bathing suit covers, which is a nice way to put it.
That's a good way to put it, yes.
Right. And then the most important thing is when something happens that you feel weird about, tell me I won't be mad. I promise I won't be mad. Because other times, kids worry that, did they make this guy, did they make this happen? Or, was it something that they did? Or are their parents going to be angry? And it's to keep the lines of communication open, which keeps your kids safer, is to just let them know that you're on their side. You won't be mad no matter what they tell you that sounds, creepy or weird.
So, Heidi, you have children?
Yes, and I guess quite a bit older, and I guess I still am concerned about them just going up the street because of the threats with gangs and with, I'm talking about Edmonton, we used to play out in the street as kids too, and nowadays it just seems like it's been different, and I think, if I would have maybe taken more time to prepare them, I'm thinking now ahead of time, it would be easier to say, okay, go take your bike out at this time of the day or that time of the day, as long as it's not dark.
It's never too late, and whether a kid goes out at 8 or they go out at 12, and you're preparing them and you're letting them go, that's the point. It's never too late. One of the things that we do as parents in this incredibly blaming, finger-pointing culture is think that we've done it wrong, and that we can really screw up our kids. If you're loving your kids and you're feeding them and you've given them a place to live and you don't beat them, you're already ahead of the game. And from then on in, if you learn something new and you share it with your kids, fine. After I sent my kid on the subway by himself, and everybody said, why didn't you give him a cell phone? And I thought, I don't know. I didn't really think he needed a cell phone because I was sure he would get himself home, but not the phone. And now I give him a cell phone, okay? It's just easy to sort of open up and think about new ideas, and then you can work them in as suits you and your family.
Heidi, how old are your children?
Well, the one in particular is probably going to be 16 in a few months here, and I guess with homeschooling, you're maybe already trying to set a better example for them than most of the other opportunities out there could set.
Sure.
And I think you just need to really be still careful.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the
But
same
that's the nice
time,
thing.
I
You
think
don't actually, I mean, like a
Yeah.
lot of the information we get from fearmongers tells you have to be so careful. But a lot of times, like one of the things I write about in my book is the whole safety industrial complex that will create big fears out of very unlikely events or very undangerous things, starting with baby knee pads, as if crawling is dangerous, and working their way up to, GPS devices that you should put in your child's backpack or car. And they try to make you afraid and feel guilty for not buying these things when, of course, they weren't necessary. They aren't necessary. So one of the reasons we do feel like, I have to be so careful and do everything so right today is that you're going to be, called cheap by these companies if you don't do it, and called bad by television, which is always berating you about something.
Yeah, Heidi.
But in fact, you're doing a fine job. It sounds like you care and you're open-minded.
Thank you for the call,
I'm
Heidi.
getting braver every day.
Oh, well, that's the key. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk to, I can't believe, baby knee pads. Let's talk
I
to,
thought we were going to talk to baby knee pads. Okay,
no, this is Dolores. Hi, Dolores.
Hi.
Hi.
I think your guest is far from the world's worst parent. I think she's a wonderful parent because she's giving your child training to do things on his own. This is the whole purpose of parenting, and I agree with her 100% about
Dolores,
this
I love you.
fear-mongering that goes on, and how children aren't encouraged to get out now in some neighborhoods it's really difficult because there is only one child and a whole bunch of old people. But in neighborhoods where there are lots of children, they should be getting out and playing with each other.
You're right, Dolores. You need to be street smart,
and I mean, you can't
be street smart without
You can't be street smart unless you start getting practice.
Yes.
And, I'm sure that before you put your child on the subway, you went with your child. You showed him all the different things, and he wasn't afraid to do it.
Yeah. Okay, Dolores, go ahead, Lenore.
No, that's it. Of course we did. My husband sat on him with the, not sat on him, sat on the floor with him and a map, and went over it, which of course the son already knew because he's a subway and bus fanatic, as some boys are. And he knows how to use the Metro card, and he knows his number. He was 9 years old. He's not a baby, and that was it. I do believe in training, and when you're talking about neighborhoods where kids can't go out, maybe if it's dangerous, literally dangerous outside, if they're gangs, like an earlier caller was discussing.
Yeah.
You can give them independence other ways. You can have them responsible for making dinner. You can have them, do one of the things that you used to do. If you go bring, dinner to Grandpa down the street, maybe he could do that. Just, it doesn't have to be, hanging out under a street lamp. It can be something even in your own home.
Yeah, Dolores, thank you.
Exactly, and I know my own personal experience. My daughter is now a young adult, but when she was a young girl, I took her to the park, and I left her there. And I got so much flack, and so this was, 15 years ago probably, so much flack from parents. Well, aren't you afraid these horrible things are going to happen? And no, I really wasn't, because, you prepare them, and then you have to let them fly. You can't keep doing things for them. And I think now we have, the term now is helicopter parents, and they're all the way with them, holding their hands when they're still at university. And I think this is just so sad and such a joke.
All right, Dolores,
we haven't allowed anybody to do anything.
Have to move on. Thank you for your comments. So there's some more support for you, Lenore.
Yeah, that was great.
We're going to take a quick break here. I want to come back and talk specifically about this Saturday, about take our children to the park and leave them their day. If you can hold on with us for a second, it is Lenore Cjca, America's worst mom. Do you think she is the worst mom? Or do you agree with our last caller? You just need to, prepare them and then let them fly. Give them more freedom. Don't be a helicopter parent. Don't bubble wrap your children. All those terms. We're back with more of your calls right after this.